occupational therapist, and I'm going to share some tips and tricks to help your kid with their writing grasp. So what you should be looking for, your 1 to 2 year old will probably hold the marker like this, your 2 to 3 year old like this, and then from 3 to 4 you'll start to see your kids holding it with their fingers. They'll probably use their whole arm or their whole wrist though until they're roughly 4 to 7, and that's kind of a larger age gap. But between 4 and 7 you'll start to see kids using their fingers, bending their fingers to write and color versus moving their whole arm. So some things that you can do to, if your kid is 3 to 4 or older and they're still holding the marker like this, or like this, or like this, or anything that's not with their fingers. Some things that you can do are, there's always these pencil grips you can get. They're all over Amazon. This is the easiest one to use, the one with the ring. You put their index finger in the ring, and then these 2 fingers, index finger in the ring that way, and these 2 fingers here, and it encourages that grasp. Once they're really good with that, you can use the one without the ring and just have their fingers in there. They also have the one where you can hold this guy with their fingers, pinch, and that keeps these fingers out of the way. And then they can graduate to smaller, less involved ones that just kind of help them keep their finger placement. There's also all kinds of tips and tricks you can do at home that you don't have to buy anything for. Even if you can have your kid just hold the marker cap with these fingers here to keep those out of the way, and then hold the marker with this hand, and they've got to hang on to the marker cap while they're coloring, and that'll help encourage this grasp versus this grasp, because if they're holding the marker cap, they can only use 3 fingers to hold the marker. You can also, if you have an extra sock that has lost its mate in the laundry, you can put 2 holes in it, and then when your kid's trying to write or color, it'll keep these fingers completely out of the way. It can be their magic writing sock or whatever you want to call it, or if it's a sock that has like their favorite cartoon character or their favorite color, they might be a little more interested in doing it. You can also, if your kid's holding crayons like this, break them so they're tiny, and then that's what they color with, because they obviously can't use your whole hand to color with that tiny crayon. And let's see, some activities that you can do if your kid really doesn't like to color or write and will only do it for a minute at a time. There's some things you can do to develop that grasp that don't involve writing or coloring. Let me get set up real quick. Okay, we can do Q-tip art. These Q-tips are small. It's really hard for the kids to hold the Q-tip with their entire hand. They're probably more likely to hold it with their fingers. And they dip it in and do some dots or some colors. If you have a picture, they can color it in with. And then they've got to turn it around and dip it into this color. And if they want to use blue again, they have to turn it around again. And then that really gets these 3 fingers working and kind of isolates this side of the hand versus this side of the hand, keeping these fingers out of the way. I wish I had my Light Bright board with me today, but Light Brights are an awesome tool. Cheap and easy to find on Amazon or eBay. But the little pegs, you can push them into Play-Doh or just the Light Bright board. You can hide them in the Play-Doh and have them pull them out of the Play-Doh. But those little tiny pegs, manipulating them, holding them, pushing them in, pulling them out, really encourages them to use these 3 fingers and keep these 2 out of the way. If they're really struggling with the pegs, you can have them do the Light Brights while they have their sock on, or even just have them holding something small in these 2 fingers while they're doing the Light Brights, or even the Q-tip art if they're having a hard time holding it with just these 3 fingers. So these tweezers are also a great tool for developing writing grasp. You can find them pretty frequently that have 2 indents on one side for these 2 fingers and 1 indent on this side for the thumb to encourage that tripod grasp. And you can have them pick up and transfer small objects. This is also a great activity to do as like a warm-up for writing. Kind of warm up the fingers and the arches of the hand in preparation for a writing task. once your kid has started to develop that tripod grasp, they might kind of be coloring with their whole hand and writing with their whole hand, which is preventing them from developing those intricate writing skills where you can control the size of the letter and the formation, or even coloring in a controlled manner. So to help develop those skills, you want to have them practice moving the fingers of the hand to move the crown or the writing utensil versus moving the whole hand or the whole wrist. So what you can do, the easiest start off, you can draw a rectangle, have them hold their utensil, and then you can hold their hands still so that they have to use just the fingers to color the rectangle up and down, and this will get their fingers moving up and down. Then, once they get good at that, holding their wrist still and having them color in the rectangle side to side. And again, this is a great warm-up for before they have to do their writing homework or their writing practice. Once they're good at that, another activity I like to get the fingers going round and around, have them while holding their wrist still, so their wrist and their arm aren't moving, it's just their fingers. You can have them see how big of a spiral they can draw, moving just their fingers, so their fingers really have to reach around, going clockwise and counterclockwise, really reaching those fingers around and getting those fingers moving. And then once your kids got that down, you can have them, you might have to, again, hold their wrist still for them to start off, but then once they get good at it, kind of graduate to letting them do it on their own. But coloring in teeny tiny objects using just their fingers. So they might be, you might have to, you might feel some resistance with them really wanting to move their whole hand, but as they get better at this, it'll come more and more naturally to just use their fingers to control the writing utensil. Okay. And another activity or a trick that I like to use to help develop a good writing grasp is to put whatever they're coloring or drawing on up on the wall, kind of at eye level. This encourages some wrist extension, which encourages them to use more of their hand versus their whole arm, and also develop some more strength and mobility. So while they're tracing, they're more likely to use a nice tripod grasp versus a whole arm grasp to try to do it. And then same with coloring, they'll be more likely to use their fingers versus like their whole hand to do it. You can even tape their homework to the wall if they're writing and have writing homework. It'll make it a little more interesting for them, change of scenery, and also help develop good writing grasp patterns. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm Megan. I'm an occupational therapist, and I hope you'll join us next time.